Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well and welcome back to Whiskey Wanders. Now, I just want to start this off by saying that I am so thankful to be able to make these Whiskey Wander videos for you all. It's even more amazing that we just keep growing as a channel and as a little community here on YouTube surrounded by whiskey. So thanks again, and I look forward to hearing from you all in the comments. Now today, I'm in a Costco that's located in Palm Desert, which is usually a pretty good Costco because it's situated in a well-off community of Palm Desert where there's lots of wealthy retirees and people from up north who have winter homes down in Palm Springs, so they want to stay warm in the winter. I guess they call them snowbirds. And also there isn't really any other Costco's out there in that area, so that Costco gets a decent selection of whiskeys because it services such a vast area of population. So it's one of my favorite stops, and also the drive out to Palm Springs is quite pleasant. So it's a nice place to go to. Now, in this visit, we take a look at some whiskeys like the tried and true Crown Royal, the Irish Whiskey Yellow Spot, and the Kirkland brand 12-year-old Scotch. And I think this is the first Kirkland one that we've talked about on the channel so far. Now, before we get to it though, if you like these little videos of me whiskey wandering at Costco, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when my newest videos get put up. So thanks again, and let's get down to it. So today I'm going to start off with this Irish whiskey called Yellow Spot. It's the midline of the Irish whiskey range put out by Mitchell & Sons. And they also have, I think they have a green spot at the entry level, a yellow spot, then a red spot, which I believe is a 15-year-old, and a blue spot, which is kind of the top of the line. And maybe in other versions, types of the green spots as well. But of the spots I've tried, of all the different ones, which is the green and the blue so far, they have all been great. Now, the reason for the color spots, I guess, is that the colors would be painted on the barrels to demarcate the specific types of Irish whiskey that are in those barrels, which makes sense and makes it very easy, especially back in the day when not everybody is fully literate. I guess it'd be a problem, though, for those folks who are colorblind. Probably still a lot less. Now, the Yellow Spot is a 12-year-old and is aged in ex-bourbon and ex-sherry casks and finished off in Spanish Malaga wine casks to add a more mellow finish. It's distilled by Middleton, like basically all the other Irish whiskeys that come up in Costco, and it's still pretty readily available right now. I see them a lot at all the Costcos that I go out to still. And the cost here at Costco Palm Springs is at $82.99, which is a bit on the high side for whiskeys, Irish whiskeys at Costco, but in comparison to the street high and low shelf prices, it's actually not that bad. On the high side, the cost can go as high as $129.99. On the low side, on the street shelf price, it goes down to $115.99. So that puts the average at $122.99. So if you do end up buying the Yellow Spot at Costco, you'll save around $40 or 32.52%. Now, the ABV on the Yellow Spot is pretty good at 46%, which is sort of an odd ABV number. You don't really see a lot of that. It's like 45 or higher than that or lower 40. But 46, don't really see a lot of that. That's interesting. And has tasting notes that mention things like shortbread, peaches, apricots, sultanas, vanilla, and dried cherries. The reviews on it are pretty decent considering the price, at 88 points on average, and attribute the score to the complexity of flavors and the overall drinking experience. But one attraction is that the barley notes can be a bit overpowering, dimming down some of the interplay between the other flavors. Now, in conclusion, I did end up buying two of these and to add them to my collection. And part of the reason is because, well, I have the green spot, which I have tried, which is amazing. I now have the yellow spot, and I recently got the blue spot, and I'm still in the hunt for the red spot, which, looking at how much is out there and how much is left, and the prices, it's probably quite some time before I get it at a reasonable price. But now I have both the green and the blue and the yellow, and hopefully this yellow, when I try it, becomes another one of my favorites, like the green and the blue. Now, the next whiskey I'm going to talk about is the tried and true old workhorse of whiskey, which is Crown Royal. There is just something about Crown Royal that makes it feel so luxurious, even though in today's market it isn't really the most expensive whiskey out there. But still, I think it's just that purple bag that, besides making the bottle look really regal, it also seconds as a very good thing to hold things like coins, which I have mine filled up with. I have multiple bags filled up with coins. Now, Crown Royal was first introduced in 1939 to celebrate King George's the Sixth visit to Canada. It was originally owned by Seagram's and was a Canadian-only product up until 1964, when they started to be exported to the U.S. among other places. I guess they send whiskey to other places, not just the United States. And then finally in 2000, it was acquired by the massive alcohol conglomerate Diageo. I don't know. Like many Canadian whiskeys, it is composed of a blend of different types of grain whiskeys with various ages, and there is no age statement on it. But basically, if you were ever to sneak a drink off your parents' liquor cabinet, it probably had a 60% chance that it was Crown Royal is the one that you reach for. Now, here in Costco, we can see that this Crown Royal is at 1.75 liters and is at a pretty reasonable price at $33.99. So it's sort of the same price range to compete with like Maker's Mark and Gentleman Jack. There's other ones. Chivas Regal. I don't know if Chivas Regal comes in 1.75 liter. I don't think I've seen that yet. Now, the high and low prices that I could find on the street shelf price are set at the high side of $67.99 and on the low side at $49.99. So that puts the average sales price for Crown Royal at 1.75 liters at $58.99. So if you do end up getting this one at Costco, you end up saving $25 or 42.38%, which is not the highest percentage I've seen, but it's still really, really good. It's probably in the top 5 or top 10, especially if you drink a lot of Crown Royal. Now, the tasting notes, not that you probably all need tasting notes, considering that I would imagine most of you have at least tried Crown Royal, but just in case, it mentions things like cloying caramel, vanilla, fruit, doughy cake, watery sweetness, and maple syrup. Maple syrup. Canadians, right? Am I right? Oh, sorry, Canadians. The reviews on it are about where you would expect them to be at 73 average points. And I'm guessing because it probably kind of suffers from the same issues that a lot of the other mid-tier early luxury whiskeys do. They are popular enough that they don't want to adjust their whiskey, but they seem a bit underpowered, have an old school taste, which is fine, but doesn't lead them to score very well with the current whiskey palate. But of course, again, that's just my opinion. So, in short, though, I think that I would not buy this one, only because it's everywhere, and there doesn't seem to be a reason to buy it when you can just get it at anywhere all the time. Now, the last whiskey that I'm going to talk about today is one that I see pretty much every single time I go to Costco, and sort of brush it off as a generic brand because it is a brand. It's the Kirkland 12-year-old blended Scotch. But you know what? After doing some research and searching around on the internet, you can find that it's not exactly the whiskey equivalent of RC Cola or Jarritos Cola or some other non-brand cola. Rather, it's a real whiskey made by real distilleries and just doesn't have a name on it. Well, I mean, it has a name. It's Kirkland. But Kirkland is pretty secretive. They are pretty secretive about their blends and where they come from. But purportedly, this one comes from Alexander Murray, which makes sense since they also carry some of the other Alexander Murray branded whiskeys as well. Now, they also work with other Scotch makers like Dalmore, Mortlach, Glenrothe, and Tullibardine. So it's not just like those tequilas that you can buy in Tijuana that have no name and taste like watered down turpentine, come in 3-liter jugs, and usually are sold next to donkeys painted like zebras or zebras if you're from parts of the world that don't speak English, according to Daniel Webster. But the cost for the in-house Scotch at Costco is at $35 for the 1.75 liter. So it's kind of the same price range as Crown Royal and Maker's Marks and others. And I guess you get what you get out of it is the 12-year age statement rather than just kind of a blended brand name. There's not really a high and low price on it because it's only sold in Costco. So the high and the low, as well as the average, are all going to be $35.99. And also, you don't get much savings over the street price because, well, it's Costco and it's only sold at Costco. So those are zero. Now, the ABV on the Kirkland 12 is at 40%, so it is at the baseline for ABVs for whiskeys and has tasting notes of kasha, baked peaches, bubblegum, honey, pears, and toasted black bread. Now, so for what it is, I guess the way I think about it, for what it is, I think the reviews are actually pretty good, with an average score of around 77.5 points. I mean, the score is still higher than some of the other name brand whiskeys, which I'm not going to put in there, but so, good on you, Kirkland. In conclusion, though, I think, of course, I'm going to skip this one because there are other Kirkland whiskeys that I really want to wait for. I want to keep a space in my shelf for, like the Bottle and Bond bourbon that I see on Instagram, but I don't think ever comes up to the West Coast. There's another one also, I can't remember the name of it, but I don't know it if I saw it, that I'm waiting for it too. So, I mean, I guess if I was to buy this one, I'd put it in a nice fancy decanter so it looks nice and I can feel fancy drinking it with friends. All right, so that's it for today's whiskey wandering at Costco in Palm Desert. Thank you all so much again for watching to the end, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get notified when my newest videos get put up. Also remember, if you do see a whiskey that you love, just buy it, because if you don't, somebody else surely will, and it might even be me. So have a great rest of your day. I'm out, and adios.